mic can let him hear this. Ooh. The world is full of so much wasted potential, and I am sick of it. I'm sick of it. I'm literally so sick and tired of being sick and tired. But no, seriously, guys, the world is full of wasted potential. What's up with that? What's up with that? Um, and as annoying as it is to watch other people just completely disregard, let me move this up just a little bit. As annoying as it is to watch other people completely disregard the opportunities that they could be giving, it should also be taken, how do I word this? It should also be taken as your own opportunity, and you should be seizing these opportunities. And I wanted to do a quick little rant about it because it makes me really angry. But like I said, it presents a lot more opportunity for the rest of us who are willing to take that potential. So let's talk about it, okay? So people are full of wasted potential, and this is for a lot of things. So hi, my name is Maya, and I'm a communications major, so I'm going to be really annoying today. But so the world is full of wasted potential. People, I don't even know. Guys, I don't know. So I am in my third year of college. I'm about to finish finals week, and I will be an up and coming senior at my university. And something that I thought coming into college, um, which I realize now is very naive, I thought that everyone else was going to be so much smarter than me. I was going to be like the bottom of the barrel coming in. I am a first gen college student. So, and I have like some family members with like associates and things like that, but not very many traditional 4 year degrees or in traditional like white collar or 4 year degree type of fields. So I already came into college with an illusion of understanding. So, an illusion of understanding is exactly what it sounds like. It is the idea that you place in your head about your understanding of something, even though it might be, or typically, if it's an illusion of understanding, it is false, or at least false to a certain degree. So, I was under this illusion of understanding that everyone around me was going to be pursuing to their fullest potential not only their degree, but the opportunities around them to the fullest. Oh, yo. If somebody could have told me anything at the start of college that would have helped me, one, transition easier, and two, succeed better, it would have been that right there. That not everybody is as passionate or as driven as you are, and by not everybody, I mean almost every single person. It is really aggravating. But again, like I keep repeating, it's also to your own advantage. It is really aggravating that so many people in this world will not chase their own potential. Like you literally, like you couldn't dangle some opportunities in front of people and they would still avoid them, neglect them, not participate, whatever it is. These people would still not do it, and it's crazy. I did not think that was going to be the case in college. I mean, I felt like I somewhat saw that at high school, but my high school was like the more academically, I don't want to say like, I know that we had like higher test scores in the district, so I felt like academically it was a bit more competitive. Versus, like other schools you could have gone to. And of course, like a lot of my friends, especially like I'm in a sorority and like there are like GPA expectations requirements for a lot of those things. So a lot of my close personal friends are very academically driven. A lot. Not I would say that all of my friends now are. But there was a time when not all of my friends were. And that is not because a lot of those friends have changed their mind. It's because a lot of those people I am not friends with anymore. And that's kind of something I had to learn. I feel like I learned it somewhat at the end of high school, but that's something I've learned a lot more throughout college. Is it really does matter, and it really is important who you surround yourself with, because if you're surrounding yourself with people who, like I said, do not have any intention of meeting their fullest potential, let's fix this. I feel like that's still like not whatever. If you surround yourself with people who are just like all around lazy, like I'm having trouble figuring out what it is. Actually, I think I know what it is. I just don't want to say it. um, but yeah, no, people are not as driven as you think they are. So if you are either about to come into college or you're still in college, whatever it is, know do whatever it is that you want. Do literally whatever it is that you want, because literally nobody is doing anything. Nobody's doing anything and it's crazy. Um just for like a small quick example, so I recently joined um a new club at my school. The club isn't new, it's new to me. The club's very old. It's the student government. So I joined the student government, and in high school and middle school and even elementary school I'd been in student government my entire life. So I was really excited to get back into this, but I had assumed it would be majorly competitive, because that's how it was throughout school. If you've done student government, you know. So I come here, I go into student government, and the process was very rigorous, but I fortunately didn't face a lot of competition. And I don't even think that is necessarily because of a lack of interest. I think that it just wasn't advertised as well as it could be this year to get more candidates to come in. That's kind of separate, though. I also think a major part of it is people drastically underestimate who's going to do something. So I severely overestimated who was going to do this student government position. So I was very hesitant in applying. I didn't know much or really anything about it when I was applying. So I'd assumed I would be facing a lot of competition, and then like there was a debate and like all these other kinds of crazy things, and I was very nervous. But it all went very smoothly and I handled it all very well. Like I said, I ran unopposed. Most positions ran unopposed. So I didn't have that much trouble, but there were people that I met along the way who dropped out because they were scared to do the debate. They were scared to do the meet the candidates. You know, they were afraid of all these things. And by the way, their positions where people ended up filling in for them also ran unopposed. So because these people were under this illusion of understanding that someone else was going to come in and be the better candidate, they left that potential on the table. And I should mention that this position comes with a scholarship as well. So not only did they lose a good leadership opportunity, potentially a great networking opportunity, but they also lost scholarship money along with a myriad of things. So when you are looking at things like that, you need to remember that everything is going to have pros and everything is going to have cons, but the pros are usually going to severely outweigh the cons, and you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage not participating. But back to the wasted potential. Ooh, they're doing landscaping at my apartment right now, so that's wonderful. Okay, guys, I've given up. I cannot find what I had typed up in class about this specific topic. So instead, I'm just going to go ahead, make sure that. So I'm just going to get into some of the nuance. Like I said, communications major. I'm here to be annoying. So underneath, we already talked about the illusion of understanding. And then you have this illusion. Oh, what is it called? Okay, now we're gonna have to pull that up. Okay, so now I kind of want to talk just a little bit about the illusion of stability. So my professor defined the illusion of stability as long periods of sustainability will continue. She cites the turkey dilemma and over reliance on lagging indicators. So just to clarify, the turkey dilemma, I don't think she listed here, but the turkey dilemma is like it's supposed to be about like Thanksgiving, and the turkeys, they live happily until Thanksgiving comes and one of them is killed, and then they just wait and eat and get fat and live a happy life until one day that they're killed, and they don't know it. It's kind of like, what is it, like the boiling chicken analogy or whatever it is. So basically, the illusion of stability just says that we rely on what we already know to be true and to be stable because that is all we know. So we continue to let this understanding affect our everyday life, even though moving out of this idea of understanding might be more beneficial to us in the future. And this relates to wasted potential. And what I had written about originally that I wanted to share with you guys was that I had recently had a friend in my life. And I don't know, we're going to go about this, without name dropping or anything. And I'll keep it very vague. And this has actually happened a few times. So this really relates to a few different people, even just like the past like 6 months to a year, where I've met people and I see the potential in someone very quickly, like I see what they could be, and like I'm very much if you have dreams, you should chase them. Like, to me, it's chase your dreams or nothing. To me, it really is like go after all of it or you're going after nothing. Like, I really see that as not just wasted potential, but wasted time. Like if you have dreams of wanting to do A, but for some reason you're pursuing B because of the illusion of stability and the illusion of understanding, because you are unwilling, you do not think that you're going to be the one to make it in this career, to make it big in Hollywood doing this. Like, that way of thinking is exactly what's preventing you from getting from B to A. And that's not to say that you can just rush straight into doing something insane. Like, you need to have goals, you need to have smart goals. What is it? Specific, measurable, obtainable, timely. Like, you need to have a structure to what you're doing or you can't do it. um and I do my best to empower the people in my life to think that way, because it's so easy to think negatively and think that you cannot do something, but you can't let those thoughts win, or you will live an unsatisfied life. To me, that would be a very unsatisfying life if I did not pursue the things that I really truly feel passionate about and the things that I want to pursue. So, keep that in mind. But most people are very much comfortable sticking with B instead of going with A, because from there, I'm trying to be as nice as I can. And not that I was like trying to say something to be not nice, but it's hard to walk around with an analogy. But I am from Ohio. I'm from Ohio, okay? And in Ohio, we don't have like big things like Hollywood, like our biggest couple of cities, or them, Columbus, Cincy, Cleveland, the cities like that. But they're not really happening in terms of like, people like catching a big break, or like, like we have millionaires and things here, but there's not a lot of opportunity to kind of continue in that way. Um, So a lot of the people in Ohio, I'm just kind of guessing this. I mean, I'm sure I could look it up literally right now, but I'm assuming that a mass majority of Ohio is blue collar, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that there is a large population that doesn't want to do that, but they continue to do that because that's what their dad did, or what their mom did, or what their grandparents did, or they want to do this crazy thing, but they have a family business and the family wants them to continue the business and they don't have the nerve to stand up for them, and they actually hate this family business, like they want to be a rock star and the family wants them to be a mechanic, and instead of doing what they want, they just go with what they know. And that just really rubs me the wrong way. It really bothers me. And if that's you, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I think if I lived my life like that, I would be very unsatisfied at the end of my life. And my goal is to not feel that way, because that really freaks me out. Actually. Um, but back to the example I was giving. So I knew this person, and I've known a couple of this same person where they have so many things that they would like to do with their life, that they are passionate about, that they believe in. And like I said, I see potential in my friends, and even acquaintances pretty easily. And I think that a lot of people could very easily obtain their goals. I believe that obtaining your goals is very easy if, again, you can make them smart, specific, measurable, obtainable, all that jazz. Because there has been very little that I have not yet come to achieve by just following those simple laid out methods. And, I don't really come from much. So the fact that I've seen it play out so naturally in my life by being intentional proves to me that anybody can do it, and like, of course, like I have specific blockers that prevent me from achieving these goals, but it's important that you learn how to get over those hurdles. Okay. So, again, back to the example, they had all these goals, that they wanted to achieve, but they were major goals. And the way I view goals is you have your one goal, and then you have a good amount of mini goals that ultimately work up to your large goal. But within those mini goals, they need to be smart goals so that you can check them off as you climb up and get closer to that large goal. So these people, they typically only have large goals, but they're not even really goals. They're just kind of ideas. And I say that because they don't have intentions of ever really working towards them, or if they are, it's kind of just like a hobby thing, and that's kind of the way it's going to stay in that hobby category their entire life, as well as in the fantasy category versus like what they are doing. In this example, let's do the rock star versus the plumber. Okay, since I already said that, I think I said mechanic actually, but we'll go with plumber. Okay, so he's a plumber. Our friend, he's a plumber, and he really wants to be a rock star. And maybe he's actually really good at being a musician, and he's actually really bad at being a plumber. And I do feel like, sorry guys, line dancing vlog looks like it's coming later today. Later today. That's right. We're going out on the town, not wasting our potential. We're getting down and dirty to what is it? We're getting down and dirty to save a horse, ride a cowboy. Okay. Um, but basically, I thought this person. Fuck, I can't do this example. Okay, we're gonna have to do a different example. Okay, so basically, I've got this friend, or I had this friend, and they had all of this potential. They had a really good hobby or skill that they could have really turned into a lucrative career. But because they were under this illusion of understanding that all they could be was a plumber, that's all that they were gonna do. Despite having this really gifted and amazing talent, I I couldn't get in their head to tell them that what they were doing was enough, and I was like, I was laying it all out for them. I was like, you could do like A, B, and C, and then like still be a plumber, like while you're doing that, but like you could do like all these things that would help you work towards your goals. And no matter what I did or what I said, and even though they had admitted to me that everything I said seemed logical and obtainable, everything you need a smart goal to be, they still wouldn't do it. And I was really like trying to rack my brain. Like it was really like this was eating me alive for a while. And that's why I had written about it in class. Again, I'm a communications major. I study a lot of communication theory, and this is a major part of it. And a major part of learning all these theories and learning more about how people think, because communication is a lot more psychology based than I think people originally stay than I think people originally assume. But as I've been learning more about theory, it has been very insightful to learn how people react to things and how people see things. So when I first started learning about these illusions in one of my theory classes, things started to make sense. So this person, maybe they had gone through certain things in life that had caused them to have this belief. And when you have things like that, it's almost like trying to unlearn trauma, okay? And I'm a communications major, but I'm not a psych major, and I don't have a doctorate. So there's really, other than being really motivational and inspiring and empowering, you can't teach that. And you can try your best, you can bring in speakers, but some people, like, most people even, sorry to most people, it's disappointing to see. We need to plug my phone in, huh? I've kind of discussed this. Nobody's willing to do anything. So what does that mean for you? So what I've noticed is that far less people than what I thought are actually interested in actually becoming successful in pursuing opportunities that would make them successful in some type of way. Okay, so ooh, that car just turned off. How spooky. Um, People aren't willing to do anything. Okay, so whenever you want to go for an opportunity, just rest assured in the fact that there is so much more opportunity for you than you realize. So you could like even think about applying for scholarships. This is kind of a bad example because I I think I've gotten like one scholarship that I've applied for, but hey, that's better than none. Okay, and I know a lot of people that don't apply for any scholarships because they don't think that they're going to get them, like they don't think they have good enough writing, or they think that too many people are applying, or, their parents make too much money, so like nobody's ever going to give them X, Y, and Z. And that's just not true. That's just not true. It's literally just not true. Like, you just have to try. And again, like I said, like I've applied for hundreds of scholarships. I think In my time here, I've gotten 5 different kinds of scholarships, mostly through my school, but I got one external scholarship, and then I did pageants in high school, and I had just like a little bit of money from that. I think like $600 total, so nothing crazy, but I mean, like, that's books and supplies for about 2-ish, really 1.5-ish semesters. But again, that's better than paying out of pocket. So know that whatever it is you're doing, I promise you that you have a much bigger chance than you think you do. And if not, you at the very least have an equal opportunity and chance as everyone else. Even if you have certain blockers and roadblocks in your way, so does everyone else. And it is up to you to figure out how to navigate around those things, but take it one at a time. Because if you think about things in this like large goal category, you're never going to be able to break it down, and you're never going to be able to make it smart and obtainable, and then you're not going to do anything. Um, but yeah, there is so much wasted potential in the universe too, where if you see someone else achieving, there is infinite more room for you to achieve. And oftentimes too, you see people, I see people, I just realized I could make myself taller. Oh, that would have been helpful a while ago, huh? Um, but I see a lot of people and they get envious of others because of what they are achieving, and not only do they grow envious, they grow even more doubtful of themselves. Both of these things are counterintuitive. And if you're going to be envious, at least have drive, at least have drive to want to do better than your competition, even if you are competing with somebody, again, there is equal opportunity to achieve. You just have to find it. In not just my opinion, but in what I've seen, I believe that to be fact. And if you actually try, I promise you will too. But it's up to you to heed my advice or not. We'll see. But yeah, so take all of everything, that I said. Just take that into consideration. I've got like a list of some things that we had talked about in this class that you might find really helpful, and I encourage you to, you don't need to start practicing them right away, but just start thinking of examples of these in your real life, and hopefully that'll kind of help to unlearn these illusions that you yourself face, because we face them. All right, we ran out of storage for just a smidgen, but we're back now. Um, but yeah, I face my own illusions and biases every day. And I'm not like saying all this to say that I'm an expert. I'm just saying this because it's really changed my perspective. And like I said, the more that I've embraced all these things, and I've just like been looking for them in my everyday life and practicing them and practicing ways to go about them when they occur. And it's been really helpful, and I've been achieving a lot more because of changing my way of thinking, because of understanding these things. And I've noticed that not a lot of other people understand them. And when I have begun to explain these things to the people in my life, it helps make things more clear to them. So hopefully, I'm just going to really quickly. Yo, Apple doesn't want me to tell you guys about this stuff because they keep on saying that my phone is full of storage. And I think that they're full of shit. So, continuing with what I wanted to say. Okay, we're gonna go quick. So, the first one at the top is our gut. So, our gut prevents us from doing a lot. The way my professor defined it was hunches, personal experience, lagging indicators, and intuition. And just really quick, a lagging indicator is something in the past. So, anything that is showing us something in the past that we are just now catching on to, that is a lagging indicator. So, your gut might tell you to do something and it might tell you not to do something. So, have you ever heard the expression follow your gut? That's kind of what this is referring to. And that is a bias. So, maybe your gut is telling you not to do something because it's risky, so you don't do it. And that is how it makes it a bias. So, just being aware is what prevents you from letting your gut get in the way. Just be aware, and think through things before you initially dismiss it or find something definitive. The next thing on the list is social norms. So then this is defined with peers, family, other influencers. So social norms are exactly what it sounds like. It is the social construct, the social norms in your society, in your social circles, in your larger circles, anything around you socially is going to be preventing you from doing things. So, like maybe you're scared to post on social media because of people at your school. That would be a social norm blocker and or blind spot. So the illusion of stability we already talked about, and the illusion of understanding we already talked about, but something I didn't talk about is the narrative fallacy, which is one of my favorite things that we talked about in this class. So we develop a story for why something is happening, even if there is no evidence. We simply prefer stories. We believe history is linear and rational. Flawed stories are dangerous, and the example she gives is HIV/AIDS is a gay cancer. So, the narrative fallacy, like I said, was one of my favorite things, and I found it most intriguing and most relevant to today, especially with everything going on in our current government. We can get into that more at a later date because I obviously have a lot of thoughts and opinions, but we see a lot of people we're okay. We'll drop the actually, I don't know if my video will get flagged, but that the island. The island. We're seeing a lot of people develop their own theories around the island and things like that, and that is all a narrative fallacy. So we're developing a story for something that is happening, even if there is no evidence, or even if there is a compounding amount of evidence. We prefer simple stories, and we believe that history is linear and rational. So we believed that because people are typically tried for pedophilia and things of that nature, that would happen in this case. And we really hope that we're going to see this be continued to be pursued, because that is what we've seen in the past. But history is historically non-linear, and it is not. But essentially, what is to be learned from the narrative fallacy is to remember that nothing is going to happen the exact same way it did before. Everything will be completely unique in experience, and if you do not learn to embrace it, you will fall behind. Then there is silent evidence, the parts of the story we do not know. We base our knowledge of history on crimes that have been reported. We never consider those that are not reported. We we sanitize risk. More of us will die of disease. Oh, more of us will die of diabetes than terrorism, but we invest far more into terrorism prevention. So, yes, silent evidence is exactly as described. It's the parts of the story that we do not know. So, again, back to the island example, there is very clearly a lot of things about that we just do not know. There's speculation as to, certain people being spies and other things like that. So, all of that information that we do not know is silent evidence, preventing us from getting to the real conclusion, and it can, in times, prevent you from making accurate decisions. Confirmation bias, we cling to our theories and avoid contrary evidence. So, let's just say that we're saying something is, oh, what is it that they say? It's a Democratic hoax, or maybe it's a Republican hoax. So we're clinging to the theories instead of the actual evidence. With, again, the example I've already given, we're seeing both parties be involved in this controversy. And we're still seeing people today say that, this is a Democratic hoax, this is a Republican only pyramid scheme, or something like that. So we rely on what we know and we avoid the evidence, however contrary it may be. Optimism bias, risks that threaten others, what risk that threaten others and what affects us. I can handle my liquor, not every smoker gets lung cancer, and things can only get better. Optimism bias isn't inherently a bad thing, but just like it says, not every smoker gets lung cancer, it's kind of the saying of, it won't be me. The 1 in 5 theory, well, I won't be the 1 out of 5, I'll be the 4 out of 5. But obviously, somebody has to be the one. And you will, a lot of times in life, get unlucky and you will be the one. And optimism bias prevents us from being preventative in terms of measures to prevent us from being the one. I can handle my liquor, famous last words right before you get a DUI, Not me though, but yeah, just saying. And then experts or reliance on experts. Some experts aren't. That's what it says. Their knowledge is narrow and limited to sound bites. It's always better to ask what could happen next. So basically, anybody can say that they're an expert. Um, to give an example that I did in this class, I had to do a project on Flint, Michigan, and the water in Flint, Michigan. And they had their local government telling them that that water was safe to drink, when in fact the water was brown. But they had people coming in claiming to be experts, signing reports, sending things to the public, saying that this water was safe to drink. And come to find out, months later, the CDC is saying that the water is very unsafe to drink, and it ends up causing children to have developmental diseases and disorders that were developed within the womb, in utero, because their parent was drinking this water. So, reliance on experts. Now, it's important to note credibility where credibility is due. Maybe somebody does have a PhD or a doctorate in something, it's pretty safe to say that you can rely on that person, but also use your knowledge of everything before optimism, confirmation bias, silent evidence. Use all of that information to determine whether or not a source is credible. Because just because something says .org, as we've seen in the past couple months, those sites can be changed to fit any kind of agenda that people are seeking. So if you can be more aware of these things, it can just help you overall be, one, a better communicator, but two, it can help you pursue things better in your day-to-day life. um whether it's over underestimating yourself or the people around you, or evidence that you don't know going into maybe a certain position that you're taking over, or something that you're really looking forward to doing. All of these things can be very helpful and benefiting for your future and not wasting your potential. Please quit that. It's driving me crazy. It's driving me crazy. Let me know what you guys thought, if it was literally in the least bit insightful or inspiring, because I'm like really just trying to figure out how you can motivate other people, because like I said, there is room for everyone to succeed. But I've noticed a really big decline in student leaders and student advocates. But I also feel like I'm seeing that turnaround, and I don't think it's necessarily people don't want to do things, it's people are scared or they don't know how. So hopefully this can alleviate some of that scarcity and kind of point you into the right direction. But I'm gonna freaking go to my real stupid freaking job. Just kidding, I actually like my job. And finish this Alani. Okay. This was a fun little project. I'm gonna talk to you some other time. Cheers.
Hey, that's the end of the video. If you liked me, give that subscribe button subscribe. And then you can find me literally anywhere that you might want to find me at AMYA.SHYANN, because that's my name. Okay, bye now.